Okay, let's talk a little bit about the state of Nigeria's airports. Of course, with social media these days, you can all see the state of the airports. We had quite a number of them, but let's talk about the management. There have been a lot of discussions around what should be done. The new aviation minister says, Rotimi Amici says privatization will be done. He also had on the table concession and, of course, PPP, that's the public and private sector partnership. So what road should Nigeria travel? Let's start this two-part conversation. Tayo Juri is an aviation expert and is joining me live in the studio to have some conversation in the first leg of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good
nice
morning.
to be here.
Yes. You work in the aviation industry. What's your take on the state of the airports?
Well, I can actually say specifically that airports are not up to par. It's actually not giving us a good passenger experience. We lack infrastructure is actually deficient, and we actually we don't have that throughput experience that would actually give the passenger a bang for their buck. As well as we have issues with safety, issues with security, and issues with commercial viability of the airports.
We've run airports in Nigeria. One of the earliest airports in Africa was in Nigeria. Yes. Commercial airports, to be more precise. If you take countries like Congo out of it because of the mining and what have you, the miners flying in and out. So Nigeria's been one of the first countries in Africa to have as a destination for airports. So how come we haven't really given what you call the customer experience in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and more?
I would say actually the ownership and the operations of the airport has been in the hands of the government, and it's still. Our airports are owned, operated, and managed by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. So we see that this actually is not best international practice. What needs to be done at this time is to have that efficiency drive given to the private sector, and we need to know, is it going to be a policy statement, specifically is it commercialization, is it privatization, so that, or concessioning. This actually helps us know what direction we are, because commercialization or concessioning is government still keeping the assets as well. Then you have an airport management company coming to actually manage the airport. On the other side, you have the privatization, where you're selling that asset and the airport and the operations over to a private entity for a fee.
Why do you think previous administrations had refused to go the way of selling wholesale privatization of the airports, make them commercial, change the law that would also allow the deregulation process in which if I have what it takes, if I can own an airline, then I may as well build an airport if I meet regulations and standards?
Interestingly, over time, especially in Nigeria, we've actually had concessioning. Specifically, we started with a small process with FAN, Federal Airports Authority, where you had a company concession to automate the aeronautical and non-aeronautical revenue sources. And after that, we actually had the Bicotney Airport, which is MMA2, as it's widely known. So we have that, it's been done. However, the challenge and the lesson learned over time is that if the process for which it's been done, considering the peculiarities of business in Nigeria, has been flawed. That's what is actually still being a deterrent for investors coming to invest within the Nigerian aviation sector, specifically the airport sector. It's actually a huge requirement. It's something that's actually needed. So it's we're politically, geographically, strategically positioned. We have the people. We have the need for the people to go through. And over the years, they've actually promoted Nigeria as being that hub. What we have.
Do you think we have the markets? Yes, we have 26 airports, 5 international airports, but each time you get out the yearly or quarterly report, the figures of passenger throughput is very, very small. So does it make sense for me to bring in millions of dollars to build a commercial airport when I don't have the passenger and the cargo to run it? Will it be viable?
Airport is not about just your people. I'll give you specific examples. We're looking at Dubai, Singapore, they're low population countries. but they have a huge airport throughput.
Because the economy is different. People are traveling. They got tourism. They have so many other things to look out for. We don't have it.
We don't have it, but we can actually, we have the population. Like I rightly said, we have the geographical location.
Yeah.
Where have the market in the West African sub-region. So with that, you actually have people that come and actually move goods and services. So that's actually been a driver. An airport is not just built in a day. Before you build an airport, you look at your forecast, you look at your demography, you look at the markets, and you look at the things that will drive economic drivers within that system. So with that, we think we can do better by first developing the infrastructure that would actually give airport as the first choice of travel to that Nigerian traveling to every part of the nation. Secondly, the passenger experience. A happy passenger is a repeat passenger. You have an happy passenger, they come back to that airport. But an airport that is not passenger friendly, or it's very high on the cost of services to the airlines and the passengers, it's not going to actually drive that traffic.
So what route do you think the government should travel? Would you go for wholesale privatization, a mix of PPP, or just deregulate it and say, look, if you got the money, build your own airport, you can compete with government that owns the existing facilities?
Let's start from the latter, which is, the regulation in the airport. Airport worldwide is, unfortunately, seen as a monopoly business. Yes, there are not too many airports around there. Yes, yes, you can't just go ahead and build your airport. There's no need. There's even a safety and security concern for that. So let's rule that out. The other option is PPP, which is being done worldwide now, or you can actually have, within established airports, you have what you call the green airport. You have an investor come and build new airports within the existing airport. And the other part is either commercialization. Some people call it concessioning.